Welcome to the Addiction Show. I'm Miller and I'm an addict. And we're going to define addiction as continuing behavior that prevents a person from becoming their true self. And we'll be exploring in the show addiction in all its formats, including but not limited to drugs, alcohol, sex, shopping, eating, and social media. And if you want to comment on the show, go to miller@cnews.net. Michael, you're going to put that up? Miller@cnews.net. If you have a comment about the show. Also, if you want to be a guest in the show, miller@cnews.net. That'd be great. And if you want to sponsor some shows, miller@cnews.net. That would be super great. If you're having a problem with addiction, that you don't know what to do, or you have a friend or a loved one with an addiction problem, don't email me. Instead, go to miamirecoveryproject.org. Is that up there? Our producer is Michael today. Shout out for Michael. miamirecoveryproject.org. And they handle referrals, also peer support, meeting support, as well as overdose awareness and training, and free Narcan distribution through the Department of Children and Families. If the other thing we need to do as far as housekeeping is talk about our logo, the starfish. So a man's walking down the beach and it's littered with starfish everywhere. And he comes across a little girl throwing starfish back in the water. And he says, "Little girl," he says, "what are you doing?" And she says, "Well, the tide went out, and if I don't get these starfish back in the water, the sun will burn them up and they'll die. And so I'm throwing them back in the water." And the man looks down the beach and looks at the girl and shakes his head. He said, "Little girl, it won't make a difference. There's thousands of starfish." And the little girl picked up another starfish and threw it back. She said it made a difference for that one. So our mission statement is to throw starfish back in the water. So our guest today is Ramon, and welcome, Ramon. I started going to Recovery Dharma about 5 years ago, really as part of my 11th step. I'm in a 12-step program. It's worked for me for many mango seasons, but I find that 12-step programs do not work for everybody. And whatever path you can find in recovery that's going to work for you, people need to do it. Otherwise, jails, institutions, and death. And last year we lost over 100,000 to overdose. So we're going to be looking at different paths for recovery. Ramon facilitates a meeting at the Miami Recovery Project. If you want to see what those meeting lists is, go to Miami Recovery Project, back on miamirecoveryproject.org, scroll through and you'll find those meetings. The book that Ramon's using today is Recovery Dharma, and you can go to Recovery Dharma. Keeping you busy, huh, Michael? recoverydharma.org, and you can download a free copy. So we're going to look at the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Paths, and I'm turning the meeting over to my friend Ramon.
Thanks, Miller, and thank you for inviting me to do this today, and thanks to the people at Miami Recovery Project for kind of adopting our program. We were kind of homeless for a little while, and Miller, you came through and you found us a home, and a home for Dharma here in Miami. So thank you for that, and thanks to everybody at the Miami Recovery Project. So, like Miller was saying before, I think probably 12-step is a recovery program, but like Miller said, it sometimes isn't for everybody. And I think a lot of times, the God issue comes up a bit, right? And, I think people kind of sometimes in recovery have a conflicted relationship with God. I certainly did. Um, and, at the time I was, you know, in addiction, um, I thought that that was just like, how is God going to help any of that? You know? And, but through addiction, recovery dharma, I kind of found that, whatever belief in God or non-belief that you have, the Buddhist path was something practical to do. It's action based. Um, and so I was able to get behind that, and a lot of, um, these Buddhist teachings kind of just resonated with me at that time. It was just a period of time where there was just acute suffering, and pain, um, and I really didn't know what to do about it. And so, I had found a Buddhist group in Georgia, uh, Two Hand Sangha, which, I'll never forget. And they were just a group of people who were just sitting, meditating and just trying to um, deal with suffering. And everybody had suffering in their own particular way. Um, and mine was through addiction. So um, there was nothing to believe, you know? I only had to have a certain amount of faith that if I was going to work this Four Noble Truths and Eightfold Path, that I could possibly just alleviate some of the suffering that I was having. I wasn't even looking for a big cure to it at the beginning. I just needed relief, and relief is what alcohol was providing at that time. So um, I particularly liked Buddhism for the fact that, it didn't necessarily make I didn't have to kind of believe I was this bad person because I really didn't feel like a bad person. But I just felt like shit, you know? And I think that a lot of times, you know, you get to this point in life where there's just it would seem like all escape routes were blocked and there was nowhere to go. And so if there was something to do though, I could do that because I could do a lot of things, And so in Buddhist recovery there are the three jewels of Buddhism, which are the Buddha, which is the potential of our own awakening, right? And in awakening we can see synonymous with recovery, right? The Dharma, which is, the path on how to get there, and Sangha, which are the community of wise friends who walk this path with us. Um, and, you know, for the most part, I had a good Sangha, a good community uh, to be a part of, even if it was three people, sitting quietly in a room. It was enough, and it was enough to be able to sit there and share that kind of suffering with people who can hold that, in a safe place. So, um, you know, it, 12 steps has the 12 steps. In Buddhist recovery, we have the Four Noble Truths and Eightfold Path, right? And in the Four Noble Truths and Eightfold Path, I'll read them here just because, it'll be a lot easier for me to do that. So it says that the Buddha also taught the way to free ourselves from this suffering. The heart of these teachings is the Four Noble Truths and the corresponding commitments, which are the foundation of our program. That one, there is suffering. We commit to understanding the truth of suffering. Two, there's a cause of suffering. We commit to understanding that craving leads to suffering. 3, there is an end to suffering. We commit to understanding and experiencing that less craving leads to less suffering. 4, there's a path to the end of suffering. We commit to cultivating the path. And the Buddha taught that by living ethically, practicing meditation, and developing wisdom and compassion, we can end the suffering that is created by resisting, running from, and misunderstanding reality. And so there's an eightfold path in order to do that, to unpack that process. And the eightfold path are the following: wise understanding, wise intention, wise speech, wise action, wise livelihood, wise effort, wise mindfulness, and wise concentration. So that's kind of like the template that we use in Buddhist recovery to kind of see where's the mechanism behind what's creating that craving for drink or alcohol and drugs, or it could be really anything, which is I thought also a very appealing part of Buddhist recovery. It was that it didn't it wasn't alcohol, it wasn't drugs or sex or anything like that. It was really my relationship to those things, that was creating a lot of suffering, and so through this practice you go kind of understanding really how that mechanism works, and to see that there is a reason behind why you are going towards drugs and alcohol or whatever it may be, to alleviate really that suffering that's kind of going on. That um, another unique feature about this was that you know this program is bit of a radical one because it asks us to stop doing all the things that made us comfortable and able to cope with the world, that seemed to be unbearable, and turn towards that suffering, which was hard for me at the beginning to kind of really do, right? It's hard to be habituated to this kind of thing that I was doing, and then all of a sudden that wasn't there anymore, and now I got to actually turn towards the suffering, the anger, the sadness, whatever it may be, whatever I was trying to drink down, or just it needed that salve, right? That and so it's not for me. This process has kind of been a thawing out of my addiction. It is something that I think is it's a slow kind of practice, but it's one that I think kind of it lasts a lifetime. I think to some degree or another we're all kind of suffering, and it's not necessary. Suffering could be used as stress too. It doesn't have to be suffering. It could be stress or unsatisfactoriness with the way things are. And this path kind of teaches us to be with the way things are, the reality of, in life there's this stuff called suffering. so so yeah, I mean, I we start kind of by taking the five precepts in Buddhism. And the five precepts are just five basic moral principles that you can practice, right? And they're pretty easy. We set the intention to avoid taking the life of another being or from causing harm to ourselves or another being. So that's good. I could get behind that. We set the intention to avoid taking what is not freely given or stealing. 3, we set the intention to avoid causing harm through our sexual conduct and to be aware of consequences and impact of our sexual activity and desire. 4, we set the intention of being honest and of not lying and of not using speech in a harmful way. And the last one, the most important one for recovery, was we set the intention to avoid the use of intoxicants and intoxicating behavior that cloud our awareness. Um, so yeah, that's kind of little bare bones kind of version of Buddhist recovery. And, Miller asked me to kinda do a little meditation, and, we can do that. But yeah, however,
Yeah,
so so
10 minutes, something like that.
alright. So, for, uh, the purpose of this show, I thought it would be kind of, nice to, do a metta or loving kindness meditation. I think probably one of the main, things, at least for me as a person suffering from addiction, was that, um, I hated myself, you know? And um, you know, this practice of loving kindness was was something very foreign to me, and but I think the more that I tried to be kind to myself, the more that this, self-destructive behavior was kind of fading out a little bit at a time. So, what I'm gonna do is kinda lead, a loving kindness meditation, and, so what I'll do is I'll hit the bell once to start the meditation and 3 times to end it. And, if you're at home, just get comfortable. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Your mind will get caught into thinking about things, but it's not about changing those thoughts or wishing for them not to be there. It's just establishing a friendly relationship with your thinking and thoughtful mind. So we'll go ahead and do this. So we'll start by finding a comfortable way to sit, allowing your eyes to gently close, or you can keep them at half gaze. Maybe just taking a couple nice long deep breaths in through the nose and exhaling out through the mouth, kind of softening the belly. And just making any kind of final adjustments to our posture if you're sitting or if you're lying down. And resting your hands comfortably on your legs or in your lap or beside you if you're laying down in the mat. We're just going to start with a few minutes of concentration practice just to kind of help our minds settle into our present time experience. So maybe just noticing where you're finding the breath most easily, or where the breath feels good in your body. Maybe that could be in your belly or in your chest. Maybe you're finding the breath at the base of the nostrils. And wherever you're finding the breath most easily, just using that as a point of focus and just relaxing and being with this breath. Maybe, of course, by now you've noticed that the mind has this tendency to wander off the breath. And if it does, it's perfectly all right and okay. Every time you just notice the mind has wandered off the breath, simply just bringing your attention back to wherever you're feeling the breath most easily. So the mind wanders off and we bring it back. The mind wanders off and we bring it back again. Without giving ourselves a hard time or trying to control our mind in any way. We're just simply observing what the mind is like right now and bringing it back to our breath, our home base. Breathing in, just bringing a gentle awareness to the breath, and breathing out, be aware of the breath leaving the body. Now that we've spent some time developing a little bit of concentration, begin silently repeating to yourself the following phrases of loving kindness with an attitude of friendly intention towards yourself. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be safe from inner and outer dangers. May I be well in body, heart, and mind. And may I be at ease and content with the way things are. And feel free to use these phrases or any other phrases that have a positive, kind intention towards yourself. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be safe from inner and outer dangers. May I be well in body, heart, and mind. And may I be happy and at ease. And just repeating these phrases to yourself over and over. Picture yourself receiving them. And if that's difficult, it can sometimes be helpful to picture yourself as a child receiving this type of love towards yourself. It's okay if feelings contrary to loving kindness come up, like irritation or anger or doubt. And if this happens, be patient with yourself, allowing whatever arises to be received in the spirit of kindness, and then simply return to the phrases. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be safe from inner and outer dangers. May I be well in body, heart, and mind. And may I be at ease and peaceful.
Thank you, Ramon.
Thanks.
Namaste.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
If you'd like to check out meetings, local meetings, go to miamirecoveryproject.org, and you'll see that flyer. Um, this is a kind of point of personal privilege. I go to the Tuesday meeting that Ramon facilitates, and that's held both on Zoom and in person. We've got about 7, 8 people in Coral Gables and 30 plus people from all over the world, and it's very powerful. It's an hour meeting, and after the meditation, there's a little more reading and then discussion. Again, if you want to read more about it,
Mhm.
you
Go
can go to
Recovery Dharma?
recoverydharma.org, and you can download the book and read it there.
Sure.
Um, if you want to be a guest in the show, you want to comment on the show, you want to sponsor some shows, miller@cnews.net. Again, if you're struggling with addiction, go to miamirecoveryproject.org. Do you have any final words? Anything else you want to share?
Um, there's
I feel really good right now, by the way.
that's good.
That was very
I
powerful.
mean, you're the one that gets all these like happy fuzzy feelings from meditation. It's funny. That happens for me sometimes. But um, I think the main thing is that there is a path out of what can seem like endless pain and suffering. I think that's the main thing, and that you don't have to believe in anything outside of you to get there. Um, you just have to kind of stop trying to harm yourself, right? And trying to um, fix, change, or control this situation, which is what I was trying really hard to do. And so there is hope out there, and it could be developed through, you know, um, through wise action. And there is a wise and kind way to be in this world, I think is the main message, that we can live in this world in a kind way that helps other people, you know? Um, so yeah, it's the only thing
So I want to thank Michael, our producer, Ramon, thank for being here. And before we sign out, I want to do a shout out to my son, Josh, Sergeant Josh Myers, United States Air Force, stationed in Germany. Um, Son, thank you for your service, and be safe. That's it. We're out.